From the BBR studios, it is Line Locked, where we talk about everything racing and a lot of BS.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, BS.
Where the files are never corrupted and the audio is always perfect.
Nothing in this studio is corrupted except files. We are on episode number 20, man. Can you believe that? 20.
It's crazy.
Man, that's 20 hours that we've spent with guests and talking on the podcast, and then how many hours actually editing? Probably like 200.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Well, in the very beginning, it took a lot, and now we've kind of got that streamlined a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort, guys. So if you don't mind, give us a like down there for the effort we're putting in.
Yeah. Come on, please, man. So, what's going on, man?
Not a lot, man. I got a story to tell you.
Oh, okay.
So I'm making these big gears for a company that I work for here at the shop, and get everything cleaned up. I don't normally use brake cleaner to clean them before I weld, but that's what I had because I didn't have any acetone.
Okay.
I normally always order non-chlorinated brake cleaner just because of the dangers of it. Well, I cleaned it off, wiped it off, blew it off, started welding, and I smell almonds.
Almonds. Okay.
And I knew that's not a good thing to smell when you're...
Wasn't an Almond Joy?
No. So I ran out of the shop, let it clear out, and I felt dizzy and all that.
So what's that mean?
Well, when you weld near chlorinated brake cleaner, it's the UV light and the heat that generate phosphorus and chlorine gas.
Okay.
So it's not good.
That sounds dangerous.
It's very dangerous. And we don't really know the full effect of it because it takes like 7 to 12 business days.
Well, it's almost the weekend, so you ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah, we got 2 freebies coming in. But yeah, it takes 7 to 12 business days to know whether it really affected you. So hopefully,
geez.
I didn't have one of the telltale signs is convulsions. I haven't had any of those yet. I haven't had shorter breath, so I think I'm in the clear.
Okay.
I hope. But this may be our last podcast.
Okay. Well, join us next. Well, not next time. It was good knowing you.
And then this has been the job from hell because I smashed my finger real good.
Oh,
probably
middle finger.
Yeah, it probably looks a lot like your toe.
Oh, yeah. You need to see my toe sometime.
Is it bad?
It's starting to grow the new one.
Yeah.
Right behind the old one.
Yeah.
So it's like fresh bad. Fresh bad. Yeah. So
yeah, it's probably gonna fall.
How'd you smash that?
Same job. I was on the lathe doing the lathe work, and I loosened the jaws to take it out, and it started sliding out. And like an idiot, I tried to grab it instead and just let it fall.
Yeah.
And it pinched my hand between the tool holder and the part.
Oh.
So it hurt. Yeah. Not a great day in Potsy's fabrication world.
Oh.
You remember that the skit at Family Guy where he bumps his toe or knee or something, and I did that for like 30 minutes. It hurt.
Well, nobody's died. Well, yet.
But yeah, that's what's going on. What's going on with you? Anything?
No, nothing really. Just working on the old car, getting it ready for the 2024 season. I'm getting excited about it. It's coming up not too far away, just a couple months.
Yep, and it's close to closing in. We got the tailgate throwdown. It's going to be the first race. Hopefully we make that. I got the rear end out of the truck, and I got the new tires mocked in to see if everything's going to fit. It seems like they're going to fit.
Yeah.
Worst case, I can go one size smaller on those tires. So if I'm going to build it for that size tire, and if I can't make it work, then I'll get one size smaller, and I should be fine.
It looks awesome sitting in there, though. Those tires sitting in there. I mean, you should not have any traction problems now.
No, I'll have other problems. Bubba's I've got a text message. Bubba already says I'm going to find the next week's link. So.
Yeah, probably
Thanks,
will.
Bubba.
But April 27th down in Newport, Arkansas is the tailgate
throwdown.
Throwdown, yes.
We're supposed to say it together.
Well, I was making sure I was saying the right thing. I remember I went at one time. I went like trailer something. Trailer racing. Yeah, the tailgate throwdown down in Newport, Arkansas, April 27th. No trunks allowed. All trucks.
Yeah, and no bitching and crying.
No bitching and crying. Gonna be pretty awesome. Line Locked is a sponsor of one of the classes. I think it's the street class.
And there's where's the street class? I believe there's street. There's mini. There is
small tire,
and outlaw.
Yeah,
I'll be an outlaw because I don't meet any of the rules or everything else.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, we'll see. There's going to be some fast cars there, fast trucks, I should say.
Well, I tell you, we got a great guest on today.
Oh, yeah?
Larry Harlen. He's the guy that drives the badass Anglia. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure it's on the thumbnail. So be sure to stick around for that. The first thing we got to do, like we've always been doing, not always, but Recently
been always
ready.
doing
The TikTok tragedies. Trick. You know what I was saying. TikTok tragedies.
There goes.
TikTok tragedies. Okay, so this first one, this is a workplace safety situation, similar to what I should have probably should have been looking at myself. But this is whoa, that's a little hot there. I apologize. All right, so this is a young gentleman that is he's welding on a trailer, it looks like, and he's standing on a barrel. This usually does not work out well for many reasons. The first being that he's standing on a barrel.
Yes.
You could fall right off of that. But he's also welding, and we don't know what's inside that barrel. So
I'm going to assume that it's some kind of like fuel barrel or...
Probably.
Yeah.
Nitromethane.
Probably. Let's see what we got here.
Let's see what we got. Welding.
Oh!
Yeah.
Did he go into the stratosphere?
Well, it looks like just by judging by height of that trailer, it looks like he got tossed about 12 feet in the air.
Oh my goodness!
But it looks like the drum exploded. Some sparks came down from the welding, and the drum exploded and sent him flying.
Flying.
Yeah. Well, I guess I could have had that story. so maybe I'm blessed.
Yes, I mean, it looked like it went sideways. But did the top go up?
Yeah. Well, he definitely went in the air. Right around that area.
Right around.
And there's the barrel right there. So, yeah, I don't know, man.
I can see some compression fractures.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
His tibia is now connected to his femur.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole song about your leg bones connected to your hip bone. They're no longer connected.
They're fused.
Yeah, it's actually just a one-wood song. It's not connected anywhere. So hopefully he's okay.
Yeah,
that's not a good thing. But be careful when you're welding stuff.
Yeah. We always talk about it in the shop. We have our barrels from the previous season, and luckily we just got rid of a few of them. But having them sitting there with some gas in them. I mean, who knows? If you go around there, it was lighting stuff up. You know,
dangerous. We have a no smoking section in our barn.
Yes.
All right, and we have one more. It's 900 horsepower versus 11,000 horsepower, and a lot of you probably have seen this.
I didn't think this was a tragedy, but I thought it was pretty cool to see.
So let's back this up just a touch.
Yeah.
We'll start it from here. Basically, it's a top fuel dragster or a funny car. And a rally truck.
Yeah, like a Baja truck.
Yeah. So we'll just go ahead and let this play through. We may have to talk over top of it to keep the copyrights happy.
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty dang cool that takes off so much sooner than the other car.
So this entire time we've been talking after you heard the noise of him taking off, the top fuel car, the funny car is just still sitting there.
Yeah.
You're about to see him launch here in just a second.
Yes.
There he is.
Watch this view.
Yeah.
He just shows up to the party.
Man, I tell you what, I was late to work one time, and I looked a lot like that going down the highway.
Oh, man.
It's like me getting out of bed and getting to work on time. That was pretty cool. But, yeah, I mean, it's just woo.
Let's just say that truck, 900 horsepower. Now, that's a pretty good, let's say in a quarter mile. I know he's not prepped for drag racing, but 900 horsepower, let's just say that's, 7 or 8 seconds, 9 seconds, maybe 9 seconds.
Well, here's the deal, though. That truck's set up, obviously, for Baja and not for drag racing. So I'm bound to bet, even at 900 horse, he's probably in the high 11s.
You think so?
Maybe 12s, yeah.
Okay.
But even then, I mean, my truck's 900 to 1,000 if I'm not leaning on it. And, it would probably look very similar. Oh, yeah. You probably indistinguishable, really.
Yeah. It's just crazy how fast that funny car came up and was just past him.
My guess is he's probably at high gear and full RPM by 8th mile, unless they did change the gears for just this thing.
Yeah.
Because they only go 80 or 100 mile an hour on Baja.
Yeah.
I think if anybody watches Baja, let us know. We don't know a whole lot about it. At least I don't.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple videos out there like this where it's a 11,000 horsepower car versus a Corvette or something like that. That's street car. But I thought this was pretty neat just because it was Baja truck, just to spice things up a little bit.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the news real quick so we can get on to our guest.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, not that one. I have it labeled.
It's labeled now. Jeez. This is your not so with it today co-host, Corey, with the news.
I think I'm corrupted.
Maybe.
Jesus. All right, so for the news, we only have a couple things, too. One being the No Prep Kings will return for Season 7. I was been up in the air whether they're going to return or not. I don't know if you've known about this.
Yeah.
But they haven't made any announcements about it, but they are returning. So they're releasing the actual dates of the races and everything on every day they're releasing a race.
Mm-hmm.
Last time they released it every week or something. I guess that took too long, so they're doing it every day. But to this recording date, there's only got 3. For 2024, the first race is in Maple Grove in Pennsylvania, April 19th, 20th. The next one's in Virginia Motorsports Park in Virginia, April 26th, 27th. And then the third one we know about right now is Empire Dragway, and that's going to be the 3rd and 4th of May. So if you're interested in those, they'll have 15 races, and the schedule will be released daily until it's filled.
I'm going to make a guess that Bowling Green's going to be the next one on the list.
You think?
Yeah, because they're always there right before us.
Yeah, but, the last time they went to Bowling Green, the year before, they weren't there.
No.
So I don't know if maybe it's every other race.
We'll see.
But, yeah, it'd be cool if they're down there. Maybe we'll try to make it. And then I know Robbie's probably going to be on the starting line.
Oh,
he
yeah.
always is.
Yeah.
All right, the next one, we always talk about drag strips going away, and it's always sad. I've actually got one returning, which is cool. Southside Dragway was saved from extinction and joins the WDRA in 2024.
Ooh.
So West Virginia motorsports enthusiasts, once again, get to go to Southside Dragway, formerly the Kanawha Valley Dragway, and it opens up to new motor ownership and sanction.
That's not too far from us, man.
No. The 8th Mile Racetrack, located in Southside, West Virginia, originally opened in 1994 and operated until 2017, when it was sold and thought to be doomed. Southside Dragway joins 54 other WDRA member racetracks across 25 states, 5 Canadian provinces, and Aruba.
Aruba?
I think we need to be racing down in Aruba.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aruba. That's kind of out of left field.
Well, I thought so too. That's why I left it in there. But isn't there a song like by the Beach Boys or something? Aruba, Jamaica,
come on with your drag car, Aruba. Yeah, I mean, isn't that an island or something?
I thought so. I don't know how you even get there to race. My toter ain't going to make it.
Well, let's go to our special guest, man. Let's go to the commercial.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We'll
Special
talk
guest.
to Larry Harlen, who is a 7-0 driver in the NDRL, and we're excited about that. So give us a few minutes. We'll come back, and we'll get her started.
All right. See you then.
And we are back with our special guest today. His name is Larry Harlen. He runs in the NDRL 7-0 class. How are you doing, Larry?
I'm fine. Doing good.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
That is a sexy intro you just did. That was a
Hey.
yeah. That was the best radio DJ voice I've heard.
Right off the cuff, man. Right off the cuff.
The meeting is being recorded. It's still on my screen. Do I need to take that off?
No, you're fine, buddy.
All right.
As long as it's saying recording, we're good. All right. So how are you doing today?
Doing fine.
Good. Tell
working.
the viewers a little bit about yourself, where you come from, all that kind of good stuff.
All right. I've lived here in Rockport, Indiana all my life. My dad started a business 1959 for Whirlpool, which is helping NDRL this past year and a half. And I took over when I was 30. My dad had health issues, and I do my own deliveries and service work, and I've been doing it for 54 years. So I'm 67 years old.
What kind of line of work with that again?
We sell furniture and appliances.
Okay.
And I do my own service, and I'm a Whirlpool certified, and
Gotcha.
I've owned it since I'm 30 years old.
So if I can't get my ice maker to work, I could call you up.
Yeah, I can help you out. Yeah.
Too bad mine's a GE because the ice maker quit working about 6 months ago. And now we have to buy ice and fill it up. Pain in the ass.
90% of the time it's ice maker. So
yeah, well, I may have to call you and maybe pick your brain a little bit. I'm sure they're kind of all the same.
Right.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, how'd you get into drag racing?
Well, my father, he was more of a businessman. He didn't know how many cars or nothing. Didn't know nothing about nothing on working on them. And Joe Schweitzer, guy that was our mechanic, worked in the shop, been with us for almost 35, 40 years. He's retired now, but he got me into it. They had the brown 48 Anglia that It's on the wall right up here.
Yeah.
You can see it or not. It was a big favorite around Windy Hollow days, and they used to run A gas back in the '60s, and they had a big block Ford in it, and he got me interested in it, and got my first car, it was '55 Chevrolet.
Yeah, we actually got a picture of that. Let's pull that up.
Yeah.
We can talk about it a little bit.
I think a photo from Indianapolis at the bracket finals.
Yeah, about how old were you when you end up
I was
starting?
about mid-20s. Yeah, we back tapped the car.
Yeah, let's go. There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
So you were mid-20s. So you kind of a little bit of late start. A lot of guys, car guys, start when they're in high school or whatever. We decided to start when we were grown adults. We should have been more responsible about it.
Well, that same car, I bought it when I was 18 or 19, and I had it painted, and the guy put too much lacquer in it. It's supposed to be in candy apple red, and it turned out rose pink.
Yeah.
So we decided we had to make it run good because it was pink.
Oh.
And we street raced it all the time, which shouldn't have done, but we did, But
so this
we had a lot of fun with it.
This '55 Chevy, how much inspiration did you take from Two-Lane Blacktop? Because it looks
it looks a whole lot like it.
Yeah, it looks a lot like.
Yeah.
What kind of numbers were you running with it? It looks like a wheel standard here.
It ran best ET was running around low 630s and 8.
Okay, well that's very respectable, especially for the time.
Back in 78, 79, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what power plant was in it again?
454 big block with the. At that time, I had the Doug Nash 5-speed in it. I've always had a clutch. I've never had any automatic in anything I've ever had.
So you got the real man's pedal over there, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Even in your new car that we're going to talk about later, it's a clutch car as well.
Yes.
Cool, man. I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, but we backed half the car, and we ran it from 85 or not 80 till I got rid of it in 84.
Mm-hmm.
And the car is still today somewhere around outside of Owensboro, Kentucky. I think a guy named Hall owns it now. And it did big wheelies with him more than it did with me. I don't know what he did different, but it really pulls the wheels. But I haven't seen the car out for probably 10 years.
It's a very nice car. I'm a big Tri-Fi guy, so I like all those cars. I think they're cool. Especially the wheel standers. I mean, you're doing something when you're lifting that heavy of a car, especially back in this time. I'm sure power wasn't as easy to come by as it is nowadays.
Well, that was actually going into second, and I set it down in third.
Yeah.
And it hit the pavement so hard it took a chunk out of IRP's racetrack.
So you got you got your money's worth when you entered that, huh? You had a little concrete.
Yeah.
All right, it's cool. What was the next car? It looks like this may be.
That was the 85. We built that car in 85. We built it from the ground up. The chassis, the body.
Yeah.
I found the body, a crate body, and Joe Schweitzer and George White, which is his cousin.
Mm-hmm. He
He was a welder, and Joe was a fabricator, and I was just a gopher. And we built that car in Joe's garage. Took us 2 years to build it. We took it to the World of Wheels, and we won first place in the World of Wheels. It was a pretty car. It worked good.
Mm-hmm.
We first come out running 560s in the car with basically the same type of motor as in my 55.
Yeah, very familiar
And
with
then kind of got a deal with Jim Ray from Hawkins Speed Shop in Richmond, Indiana. And he had an old B-altered 485 cubic inch Chevrolet with twin dominators and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And we made a deal, and I put that in there, and we started running 490s back in
that's impressive.
Yeah, it was about 87 or 88. And if it wasn't been for Jim Ray, I wouldn't have near the stuff I have today. And he passed away about 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
He was an old pro stock racer. And in fact, I got another 500-inch motor from him that it's still in Gordon's car.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that progression. You went from 630s to 560s. That's a pretty big jump in itself.
Yeah.
And then going from 560s to 490s is just as big, if not bigger.
Yeah, everybody else was running half second slower than me at that time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't afford a motor like that. It, just like I say, we made a horse trade, and I called Lingenfelder Performance, and they gave me the information on that motor, and the guy spent $30-some thousand with Lingenfelder.
Wow.
That was a lot of money back then, and it was supposed to be top-notch, be altered.
Yeah.
and it lasted me, and we bracket raced with it forever.
Bracket raced with a car that was running 490s?
Yeah.
That's impressive. I mean, I assume you're probably going up against dragsters too and stuff, right? Super Pro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's not as crazy as just running, just a standard bracket race where most, like the one we go to Ohio Valley sometimes, generally those cars don't go any faster than 560s. But we don't run Super Pro, which that's where all the real fast guys go. So yeah, cool. It's a really pretty car.
Thank you. Skeeter Wayne, I'm sure you heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
He painted that car.
Oh, did
he? Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you were you very successul with the car? Were you able to get a few wins?
I won my few. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with people saying that. People have been telling me to put automatic in all my cars all my life.
Yeah.
And I always come back with told them, I said, well, if I did that, then I'd have to keep my wife would want to drive it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So,
that's another impressive thing. You're doing this bracket racing with a manual transmission, which is arguably the hardest way of doing bracket racing.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't be your first choice, that's for sure.
Hell no.
Back when I had the 55, I did pretty good, but then later in life, I found out that the biggest part of the people that really spanked my butt had the little delay boxes in them back then. We never heard of a delay box back then.
Yeah.
So then we ended up putting a magnet on the clutch and put a delay box in it. So you would set the magnet, and a friend of mine got in it at the pits one day, Frankie Parsley, and he was in there messing with it. And we come back, and he was holding his leg. Well, he got in my car and played with that magnet, and that clutch come up, took the meat clear off his leg.
Oh, no. I knew that was coming.
So when you stage this car, you got to remember to get your leg out of the way, because you let off that button, you don't really know exactly when it's going to take off. But
so for clarification for the guys that don't know what we're talking about, on a clutch car, you can kind of simulate a line lock by not so much a line, trans brake, I should say. Yeah. There's a magnet at the bottom, say the firewall or however you have it set up, that holds the clutch pedal down. And then you hold on the steering wheel, similar to a trans brake, and then when you're ready to leave, you let off, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm assuming that's got to be a pretty strong magnet, because I'm assuming what you're doing probably has quite a bit of pedal pressure.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
If you rev the motor up, it makes it more pressure. So
yeah,
I think I had a 350-pound pull back then, but the clutch pushed pretty easy. It was a single disc and all that, and it made me competitive. So
quick question: I've never ran something like that. On the return part, is there something that's slowing the clutch coming out so it's not smacking against something, or is it just part of the process when you build?
I just had a big spring to catch it, to keep it from going too nuts, but it'd make a big bam in there when you set it, take your finger off and let the clock release it. I mean, it'd make a heck of a noise inside that car.
Yeah, that would scare me every time.
It's just like sidestepping it,
Yeah.
And I thought maybe it would shake the tires immediately, but it does sometime. And this is a funny kind of story. We left the line about $7,000, and my nephew's friend, he was super smart. He made a computer back in the day. There was nobody I had computers. This is how smart it gets. And he works for Honda Motorsports now. So he's really had a good mind on him. And we set up a computer on that thing, and at a split second, the clutch, when I let off the button, that motor would freewheel on a graft up to 9,200. Before that clutch grabbed it.
Okay.
So you didn't really know that till you put that computer on. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just 9,200 for I don't know how many a second. Not even a second. So we're talking thousands.
Basically, he kind of created his own little race pack type of thing, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I tried doing something myself, like similar to that before. I was like, it's just cheaper and easier just to do a race pack.
Yeah.
I decided to try to do something similar to that. And, arguably technology today, it's not as hard as, 20 years ago for sure. So to be able to pull that off that amount of time ago, that is doing something. That's really cool. That's cool.
We followed Jake Super Quick Racer. At the time, we got 2/10 brake. So, you still was bracket racing,
Yeah. But, let's go to the next one. I believe it's this one.
We built that car in 2002, Now that's only, we didn't buy the chassis. We had Jerry Bickle made me a chassis, and we built it from then on, and just dropped the motors, same motors. But the reason why I got rid of the other 85 because I was in a terrible wreck in 2000 at Chandler Raceway.
Oh no!
And tell you the truth, they didn't think I was going to make it over the night.
Really?
So, yeah, I had like 7 broken ribs, 2 punctured lungs, cracked where your hip is.
Yeah.
And I was in induced coma, I think, for 3 or 4 days, something like that.
Was this on the track instant or outside?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
tell us.
In high gear. I went through. They said I went through. Well, I got my time card, and I went 140 mile an hour through the finish line upside down.
Wow.
And it did the barrel roll stuff, and then had a way on down the track. It had a big grader tar that they had sitting by a telephone pole, and people said that they saw my car clear above the trailer. They were blocked by the racetrack, but there's a trailer between them.
Yeah.
And they saw my car above that trailer.
Really?
And yeah, it was awful. And I said I was done racing. So, I mean, when you almost die from something,
I could imagine.
I give it more respect.
Yeah, man, it's kind of like riding a motorcycle, the whole saying, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Something's going to happen. It sounded like you built a pretty safe race car, though, because you said you built that chassis, right? Yeah. So, I mean,
I went into high gear, it shook the tires because there was a rain delay, and that track is asphalt's full of cracks. Water was coming out of the tracks, and the guy who ran before me was on his way up to the tower to tell him to stop because their little altar moved around real bad.
Oh, really?
And I already let the starting line.
You know,
if I'd let off like I should have, it wouldn't have happened, but I didn't. So anyway, it's history. So
yeah, man, that sucks, dude.
About 3 or 4 weeks out of hospital, I was racing my buddy's S10 pickup. So
can't keep this guy down.
So then we were probably set out a year while we were building this Firebird here.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful car.
Yeah, it's a really nice streamline, probably a lot more aerodynamic than the 85.
Yeah. And you see the Hawkins Speed Shop on the hood. That was my buddy.
And that's a big deal to have a Jerry Bickle car. You know, that was some money anytime. You know, it was a good amount of money to get a chassis done by him. You know, it's sad that he passed recently, right, Jerry Bickle?
Yeah.
I think it was last year. Yeah. He was a really nice dude, I've heard.
Yeah. I never actually talked to him or in person, but we went to his shop to pick the car up, and my buddy had a camera, and they said, no cameras. You know,
it's top secret.
Yeah, top secret.
Yeah, well, he did a lot of the process. I mean, I'm not sure if the company is still involved. I tell you one interesting thing about him. Maybe you know this, but he was really into animals. Did you know this?
Yeah.
A lot of his wealth was donated to animal shelters or something like that. I read this article somewhere. I think it was something like that. But that's really neat of him to do that. He was a really outstanding guy, and they built really nice cars. But my point was, they built cars for Pro Stock, they built cars for Pro Mod, they built all these really high end stuff that I'm sure those customers didn't want. You know, all the tips and tricks that they've known over the years to get let out. Yeah. I'm fairly certain that's probably why he said no cameras. But yeah, it's cool. It's a really nice car. Were you running about similar times, 490, something like that?
Yeah, 490s.
Yeah.
We shot a little nitrous to it, about 75 horse kit. It would go 470s.
Yeah.
But funny story on that. That's when Greg Anderson went on his own, and he had basically the same chassis car that we had.
Yeah.
Because it came out of the Bickle shop. In the U.S. Nationals, while we were still building the car, I climbed under his car. You know how they are when got it blocked off. I took a picture of his 4-link, how the settings work.
Okay. He just copied it.
We set that car up to what he had his.
Yeah, that's cool.
Come out working right off the bat.
Yeah, I bet.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool story. So, on that car, I mean, I think probably back in 2002, it was just probably the standard 4-link bars where you have 3 adjustments in the rear and 4 on the bottom, 4 in the front, something like that. Nowadays, they have those infinite adjustables. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Where I don't know how you would even copy it from somebody else.
No.
You could get the general idea, but I mean, those things are so infinitely adjustable, it'd be impossible. But that's a cool car. What made you decide to get out of this, or do you still have this car?
Well, no, I sold that car. See, we built that. I bought the Anglia body and chassis in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So I sold that car. We took it up to New Jersey. Engine builder guy bought it. So we trailered it up there and made the deal. And George White, the welder, that's George standing there behind the car.
Okay.
He passed away last year.
Oh, sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. We've lost 3 crew members within a 8-month time.
Wow, man.
Yeah, and George and Todd Boland and Billy Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And and it takes a lot of people to run 2 cars.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we're short on help, and we have to ask for help when we go to an NRL race. So.
Well, when we get done with qualifying, we'll be there for you, Larry. You just holler at us. Because we don't seem to get past first round very often.
Yeah.
We're hoping to change that soon. But
well, I used to say I was first round runner up.
Yeah. That was a big joke a few episodes ago that there was a 1,000th time first round runner up.
Oh, yes.
That's cool. All right, so let's talk about the main course of this, the car that we know you by. And I'll tell you just a quick backstory. So when I started just being around the NDRL, one of my favorite cars was obviously Pat Friel's GTO. And then my second was your Anglia, because it's just such a unique vehicle to any sport, really, because it's just the proportions are it's very different. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna actually go over one picture here, and there's the back end of this guy. It is a beautiful car. I can't imagine trying to get in and out of it. It looks so tiny. But it is such a cool car. Tell us a little bit about it. The process of, you say you built it yourself, or did you?
Well, George White's son, Josh, was, back then you could find anything on eBay. It's not the same like it used to be anymore. And he showed me a picture. He says, "Look, there's this Anglia. It's a chassis and it's basically a roller."
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
No, you're good. Grab a hold of
this. Sorry. It was on eBay, and the car was in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was asking, it was just the body. It looked like an old Bondo body. It was rough on a cob, and it was in pieces, and it was wanted $4,500 for it. So we went clear to Iowa, talked to the guy, and he just traded for it.
Mm.
Only information he knew that the car came from California. So we bought it, brought it home, put it in our shop back here, and the first thing, my sister was the first one that saw it, and she asked me, "What are you going to do with that pile of junk?" And I told her, I said, my exact words, I said, "I got a vision."
Mm-hmm.
And so I came up with that wing from a guy in Illinois. I don't know what it was off of, but it may be overkill. But
yeah, that was one question I was going to bring up, is if that was something that you decided on, because the wing is it looks like a Top Fuel wing.
Yeah, I think it came off altered, but it's huge, and we put it on the car, and it's never been touched as far as angle or anything.
Yeah, just worked right out of the box, huh?
People tell me at top end that thing squats pretty good, so it makes the car a whole lot drivable.
Well, and with the accident you had in the 85, I would say as much down pressure on those back wheels as you can get is probably helpful.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's weight it's actually the fortunate thing. It's weight you don't have to carry the entire track. So it's one of those things where it builds in safety, and you're not carrying a ton of weight. Mm-hmm. But I bet that, just looking at it, I bet that thing puts 1,000 pounds on the back of that car. Yeah,
fair bit of it.
Yeah, it's got to. That's crazy. Let's check out the next picture here. There we go. Jeez, that's such a cool car.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I had to get the front end. The guy that originally painted the car is a friend of mine. Him and his dad painted it in 2010. Because when I first got it out, it was in white, gray primer. It had a blown small block in it.
Okay.
So, the car, the body was somebody made this body.
Yeah.
So just like we was going to make door panels for the door, I made 2 of them alike. Well, went over and put it on the one door, and the next door, it was like 2 inches difference. So it was like almost building an old house.
Yeah.
But it's been stretched
So not dimensional lumber here.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem square.
No, it's definitely not.
But you know how Long Gordon's 63 Corvette looks versus this car, our wheelbases are the same.
Really?
But his looks like because he's got so much overhang off the back and off the front.
What kind of wheelbase does this have?
107.
107. Okay.
So the stock Anglia is 90 and a half.
Yeah.
And the car's been widened 5 inches.
Wow.
And to my knowledge, there's not another one in the country. There may not even be another one in the world.
I could believe
it.
A
lot of Anglias, but not like this one.
Nothing like this one. Yeah, it is really cool.
Funny story. In 2011, I think the Hot Rod Reunion, or 2011, guy came up to me and said, "Where'd you get that car?" I said, "Well, we built it." And he said, "No, I mean, where did it come from?" I said, "Well, the guy I bought it from said it came from California." He says, "Yeah, it did. It came from Victory Race Cars in California." So how you know? He said, "I worked on it."
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
And he looked at it. You did some things different here and there. But he said, "That's it." He said, "We always wondered what happened to that car."
Yeah.
They were working on it, and next thing they knew, next day it was gone.
Yeah.
And found out the guy got arrested for drugs. So it left their shop and went through hands and ended up with this guy in Iowa. He was just an Anglia collector. And maybe he had some plans for it, but he decided he didn't want to do it. And that's how I ended up with it. I thought that was cool to actually find out some history on it. And what would a guy from California be in at Bowling Green just because he came there for the Hot Rod Reunion?
That's I wanted to bring up that point. We had Brock on. That was last episode, right? Or the episode before. I can't remember. We never are good at this. But we had Brock, the track manager there, on, and we were talking about how cool the Hot Rod Reunion was. And any of our listeners that aren't aware of it, you need to go to it, just because it's everybody, all the top fuel guys, a lot of them come from California, or at least that side of the country. So you'll never get to see these cars normally if you stay in this general area. So it's such a cool race to go to. You get cool cars like this Anglia, and you get some top fuel stuff, funny car stuff, top alcohol. I think they got a 6.0 class this year. So just definitely make it if you can. It's Father's Day weekend. I think it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday race. So make sure if you have some time available and you want to take your father out to do something, this is a really great event. This is how I started racing, was this event. So definitely go check it out. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the power plant of this guy. It looks like a pretty large motor with a big blower on it. Tell us about it.
It's a 540. It's a New Century block with dart heads, solid heads. Of course, Pat Friel's helped me and Gordon start out when we first started to this deal, and we burned up a lot of head gaskets. But then I bought this motor from my buddy, and what things people don't realize, for me and Gordon or any other door car in the 7.0 class, we have to make right at 2,000 horsepower to run 7.0. Where Robbie and the Alters or Billy Smith, Billy probably gets by with 1,000 horsepower or 1,100. Robbie's probably making 1,250. So you jump from 1,250 to 2,000, it's night and day. So, you're going to have there's a lot of stress on these motors, and they held up real well. And, but it's the quickest I've gone in that car, and it was by mistake. It went 672 at 203.
Jeez.
It was at first out of the box at Bowling Green on a test and tune. And I thought I had a 450 7.0 setup in it, and the air was perfect, and it just flew, and it burned a piston, number one piston doing it.
That definitely hurts. Hey, give us 1 second. We're going to take a quick commercial break.
Okay.
Come right back. All right, sorry about that, guys. We had technical difficulties. Hopefully we don't have that issue again. Our camera shut off. I don't know why.
Hey, this is a podcast, though.
It is a podcast.
It's not ugly, I guess.
Yeah, too ugly for the camera, I guess. But nonetheless, I think we got enough here to make it look and sound as good as we can. But we apologize if you lost our ugly ass faces. So, what size blower is on that motor?
It's a 1471 DMP.
Big boy.
I bought it used off from DMPE.
That's a
we
big
have
one.
to make 30 pounds of booze to make, that to run 7.0.
Yeah.
I'm about 27% over. Gordon's generally 25. He's generally 2% less. His car's more aerodynamic, so
yeah.
Gordon can go a lot more mile an hour easier than I can.
I bet.
I basically got a box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're basically a box or a brick with a wing on the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what kind of weight is on the vehicle?
Me and Gordon both weigh about 2780.
2770,
somewhere in that area.
Wow, I wouldn't have guessed it'd have been that heavy. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that Lincoln's heavy.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
But,
and plus, you have a big block. All those things because I'm 2800 empty.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not too far away from each other, and my truck's 100 and I think it's 116-inch wheelbase too. It's quite a bit more than the Anglia. I like the airbrush on the front of that. Is that something you came up with, or?
Yeah, actually, a guy that does T-shirts in Owensboro, Kentucky, did the rat. I just told him, I said, here's what's in my mind, and he says, let me send you something. About 2 days later, he sends that. Perfect,
Yeah.
And he came up with I think I said, who's next or whatever.
Yeah.
And anyway, and then Eric Meredith and his dad Butch did the flames. In fact, Eric just redone the front end this past 2 or 3 months because I hit a cone about a year or so ago, and the front end was cracking pretty good. So it looks brand new again. So.
Such a pretty car. Anything interesting? Has got some cool stories of it. The car, other than that one that you had with the guy coming from California and telling you about it. That's pretty cool and interesting. But is there anything that?
People come up to us all the time just because I've been in bathrooms before. People didn't know who I was or whatever, and I've heard them say, "Hey, the Anglia is here." So it gives you a good feeling that that you have something that people
want to see. Yeah.
How many people tell me? We come to the races just to see you run, so.
Well,
and they even told me that back when I had the 55 and the Firebird. So everybody likes a clutch car,
Well, I can tell you that before I started racing, I went to the reunion a lot. And as a spectator, you can get overloaded with different cars. A lot of cars out there and, really awesome cars. But yours is one that I remember. That stood out amongst all the other ones because it's just so badass and cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So it's awesome, man. You did a good job on that.
Yeah, it's so cool. I can appreciate the craftsmanship that went into it and the amount of effort that you've had to put into it to get it to where it's at. The vision of it with the flames and then that really cool. I assume it's a rat holding a machine gun. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Because if anybody that's listening to this, if anybody that's listening to this, they may not know what we're talking about. He's got a cartoon rat holding a machine gun. It says "Who's next" on it. So
the rat is dressed in a tuxedo.
Okay. Is there symbolic for that, or is it just something you had and just came up with?
I didn't want to do the rat faint deal. Take that deal. I want to have my own thing. And I mean, I didn't come up with that artist did.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
He nailed it.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
We took the front end over to Eastland Mall, or not Eastland Mall, over to Owensboro Mall, and took it into the mall and set it in there in their shop because they sold T-shirts there. And we took it up there, and about a week later, he said, "Come and see what you think." And oh man, I said, "You nailed it."
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So do you have any future plans for it? Are you just going to keep running it the way it is, or any big upgrades over the winter?
I'm sorry, what?
Any big upgrades over the winter type of thing?
No.
Don't mess with a classic, huh?
Yeah. I mean, of course, I won the championship in 2013, and then, I mean, if you ran a 702, 704, you'd be number one qualifier. There's, it was a lot different. And then when the grids came out, I pretty much didn't be competitive anymore, with that clutch. And, it takes me a good 2 or 3 passes to get it dialed in. No matter whatever track you go to, it seems like still my third pass is the only one I got to go off of. And that car only has one thing I'm proud of. And of course, it's a clutch. It's a Linko. I shift it by hand. My tack light went bad about a year ago, so I don't even have a shift light. And it has oil pressure gauge and a boost gauge.
That's it.
That's it. And an MSD 8.
Yeah.
No computer.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, if you win something, you're earning it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe when we had COVID, we only had 2 races that year. We went to St. Louis and Bowling Green, I think. I won at St. Louis, and Gordon won at Bowling Green, and we told everybody, well, we were champs that year, you know. So anyway, if you was going to build a 7.0 car to run, it's the last thing on the list that you'd want to run.
Yeah, I understand that.
Because it's a beast to drive, and you've got to shift it. And a lot of things people don't understand. They say, why is it? I always deep stage. And if you don't, you will not catch a light.
I understand.
And here's what you got to go up against. You got to set your brake, and I get up on the motor, drag that clutch, and that whole time when that motor is revving up, it's trying to push your foot off that clutch.
Yeah, it's centrifugal.
Centrifugal weight. So you got to, you're really fine tuning that. I try not to turn the top bulb off, but sometimes I do. And then the car used to 60 foot, 114, 115. And last year, just by accident, we changed the cam degree, 2 degrees, retarded. Well, all of a sudden, the 60 foots went to 108, 109. Well, when you do that, that helps your reaction times. So it made me more competitive the last 2 or 3 years just because deep staging and the cam change.
And let's just be honest about it. The level of talent that is in 7.0 right now, it's tough.
Yeah.
And if you don't have every advantage, you're really going uphill. We obviously Robbie Friels, we've had him on here. We've talked to him. He's just a cutthroat driver, man. He's just so good. Yeah. And then we've got some up and comings. We had Levi on here not too long ago. He's a very intelligent guy that's probably going to do really well in 7.0. You know. And then I don't want to exclude people by not saying their names, but there's tons of them, and it's a very, very tough field. And I think we were looking at the car counts. You were every race, I believe, last year there was over 16 cars. So you're going to have to go a few rounds and earn it. But it is a tough class. Not to say that we're discouraging anybody from running it, because anybody wants to come out and run, we're all for it. But it is a very tough class. You better bring your A game if you're going to want to try to run 7.0 for sure. Let me see. We got a couple other. Here's a little photo. It looks like of a winning of something.
Yeah, we won the first race last year at Indy. Of course, everybody was complaining about the lights, about everybody red lighting.
Yep.
But out of all the eliminations and time runs, my worst light was a 34. And I got to say this because I was hoping Robbie would say it. I'm the one that put Robbie out at Indy.
Yeah.
I think I slapped a 002 on him.
Oh, hey, I tell you what. Hey, that slow reaction time helped you out there, huh?
Here's a funny story. And I cannot see. I always run left lane. Well, I'm deciding when I run Robbie or Alters or Dragsters, I got to get in the right lane before I can see him. So I'm sitting down there at the finish line, and I'm sitting there watching him, waiting. I'm going to pump the throttle on him. So I finally whopped it, and I turn around, and I'm almost across the center line.
Oh!
They always say you always drive where you look.
Yeah.
And we got down there on the other end. Of course, Robbie didn't like losing, but he said, I was waiting for the cones to come up, hit me upside the head. And it didn't scare me, but oh man, would that have been great to lose the race because you crossed the center line.
Yeah. That is one danger of bracket racing because you're always doing the 90 to try to figure out where your competitor is, and you do tend to drive the direction you're looking. So you got to be real cognizant
of it. I never knew that. You know? And ended up me and Gordon in the final. And that's why we share win or lose. Me and Gordon's a team, and if we get first, like this year, I got second, he got third in points, and it was kind of back and forth. He was second for a little bit. I was in the final race. I got beat in the finals against Levi because I shook the tires, but Levi put a good pass on me. But these new guys like Michael Hope and Levi, both of them. Here I'm in a points race, and at the Hot Rod Reunion second round, I had a fuel leak. Happened to run Gordon. So they had to shut me off. So then Michael Holt spanked me first round, and then Levi spanked me. I think Levi put a 17 package on me.
Yeah.
So I was and my light was not a bad light, like a 26, but I was beat before I even started my motor.
100%. Yeah. No,
So,
it's such a very tight class. It's, I don't want to say it's any more worse or harder or anything else, because all the classes at NDRL are all very tough. But the 7.0 class, you're spending the most amount of money to run this thing, as far as, maintenance, wear and tear, motors, all that stuff. There's a lot of money that's involved to go that fast, particularly in a 2,800 pound vehicle, or 2,700 in your case.
Yeah.
It's that it takes a lot of effort. And then again, I don't want to discourage anybody, but just know that this doesn't come cheap or easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you've won it, no matter what your combination is, you've earned it. I mean, it's certainly a hard thing to do. Especially, single eliminations. That's just how it is. But it's really cool. What's your relationship with Gordon? Where did you meet him at?
We just grew up. Now, he's older than me. Gordon just had a birthday. I think he's 72. I'm 67. And he had a Nova that he raced with us, bracket racing. He went to Alabama for a while. He moved down there and he come back. And we traded his Nova for the Corvette. And his Corvette came out of Texas and it was wrecked. And it was basically a bunch of parts in a trailer. Mm-hmm. And we traded, and we built Gordon's car, and we came up with that other motor I had, because I had a 500-inch motor, and we switched that, and that's in the car now, Gordon's. Mm-hmm. And we just been good friends. I mean, they're like brother. He's like a brother I never had, because I don't have a brother. Had sisters.
Yeah.
But anyway, a lot of times I've been so busy with my work, he'll go out and load the cars up and get it all ready and all that,
Yeah.
So,
it's a team effort, and if you find somebody like that you're good friends with, that you trust, that's definitely key to success. To be able to kind of spread the load out a little bit,
And you got a second mind, and we got Leroy Lester, he's my crew chief, and Tim Wilkerson, Gordon's son-in-law, his, and I got Robin Hool. I went to school with him, and Jake and Foreman and Robin, my niece. She's the one back up there. That's my niece.
Okay.
And you take everybody's idea. You can't be too pig-headed and not listen to somebody, Mm-hmm. Take everybody's idea before we go out there and try to put a tune-up,
Yeah, try to put something together. Yeah. All right, we got a couple more. Here's NDRL released. It's kind of like they call it the magazine cover, and it looks like you made one here. It's an awesome picture. Larry takes the win in Indy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That car always, it's right. It always takes good pictures.
It's photogenic.
You get up to it, and there's, oh man, that thing's got a nick here, nick there, and then the interior. You can't keep a car, Lincoln clutch car clean.
No, it's all dust in there.
Dust all the time.
Yeah, there's dust in there.
Oh yeah, I get home at night, blow my nose and wash my ears, and I got dust coming everywhere.
It looks like you've been working with metal.
Yeah, and you can't keep the car. Gordon's car stays all nice and clean, and mine will last one race, and it looks like it's in a coal mine.
I hear you. All right, and it looks like you and Gordon taking your trophies for last year.
Yeah.
It looks like what would you end up placing? You said
second. I was 15 points out of, I think, 15 or 17 from Robbie. Mm-hmm. And there you go again. The what's more important in every class is the qualifying points. Mm-hmm. I think Robbie got I know he got 15 points, qualifying points. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you take that away, and we're right there neck and neck, because
you got to win some races.
I never get any qualifying points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly. I think you get 5 points for qualifying number one in the league.
Yes.
So I mean that can add up over 6 races for sure.
Yeah. I take it back. I did get number one qualifier the last race at Bowling Green, so that helped me. But still, if you get that number like Billy Smith, he'll just tear that number one qualifier and get them 5 points. Means a lot at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've never been number one qualifier ever.
Well, it's an extra 30 points if you were to get it every time.
Yeah, that's 100%. Yeah.
Amazing. That wins or loses those championships.
Yeah. I've only got the bye run once.
Yeah. Hey, better than the year before.
Yeah. So, it's progression. It's progression. All right, cool. I think another picture. Yeah, you and Gordon as well.
Yeah, that was that. That might have been at St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might have been. Another thing, me and Gordon
looks like St. Louis.
Yeah. Yeah. So we used to go to the Summit Night Under Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the most awesome experience that any racer can ever imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hate it that we don't get invited anymore. But the last one we went, me and Gordon ended up in the final. And
But
I won, but it was a close race. And but we got to race in front of 40,000 people.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And quick story here about that. At the end of the day, they have all the winners and runner-up comes back up to the starting line, and 40,000 people come down there and get in your car, and we let I don't know how many kids sat in our car, shook hands and just talked, and took us an hour and a half to finally we could load the car. It's that long a time, and this is the show. If you can ever have a chance to go to that race to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth every minute, every penny.
Okay, yeah,
we've heard about it. Out and
yeah,
so that was an experience that me and Gordon and remember forever. And back to the kids getting in this car. The next race we went to Martin, Michigan. My first pass, it got really hairy in high gear, and never does that. And I shut her off, got down there, looked down. I had brake fluid coming out all over my floorboard. Of course, my master cylinder's right there underneath the seat.
Yeah.
Didn't realize that all the little kids get in it. That's where their feet kept hitting.
Okay, got it turned a little bit.
Loosened the cap on my master cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't been for that wing.
Damn it, Dennis.
That wing saved my car. Saved my life.
Yeah. You could have wadded it up like the 85.
Oh, yeah. Because that brake fluid was got all over that left rear tire.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's cool, man.
Yeah, well, if it slows you down, who cares,
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on and telling kind of your story, and we look forward to seeing you and rooting for you this year. At this time, we're just going to give you the opportunity to thank anybody you want to thank. And
I thank my wife, for standing behind me, and she runs the business when I'm gone. Sometimes, we have to leave on a Thursday, and I thank Joe Schweitzer and Joe Schweitzer and George White for giving me the opportunity to even be into something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe still goes to the races with us. He's 77 now, so there's not a smarter guy out there. And I want to thank Pat Frills for helping us finally get the tune. Pat don't like to help us too much. He will be.
Yeah, he's got two cars in there too.
I understand that too, because we're running against the sun, and we wouldn't be where we at today wasn't for Pat and his knowledge. And Leroy Lester, I wouldn't be for Leroy. He's my crew. He backs me up, gets me straight all the time. And like I say, he's very smart too. And he used to race back in the day when we raced. So Robin Hool, my buddy from childhood. So just appreciate everything NDRL does, because in fact, we thought about going back to top sportsman racing because we got at that point where the grid came out and we got not competitive. But we stuck it out and said, let's just do it. We're going to have to do it. And me and Gordon's done real well since then. So,
yeah. So your admonicy against the grid, is it just something you don't want to learn, or is it?
Yeah, that's pig-headed. I'm an old dog.
I understand.
I don't want to hook a computer to my car.
I understand.
And I mean, the whole asset at NPCA and NDRL was nothing. Go out there and run what you brung, old car. And I understand, they don't want tar shake and they don't want all that. I understand that. And the newer people, younger people, that's what they like. But it kind of ticked me off one time. We was up at Michigan, and we're starting our cars. I looked over there, and they still had the laptop hooked up to the car.
In the lanes.
In the lanes. Getting ready. They called us out, and that laptop was still hooked up to the car, and they're changing it right before we leave out. And,
that's a little. That's doing too much there.
Yeah.
So I try to stick with the spirit of the rules about the nostalgia part of it. It's just hard to have what the grid has as far as the protection of the motor. The boost overboost protection, everything else that it offers. It's for me, it's a no-brainer to go that route. But I do try to stay within what, obviously I don't use an ARC module or anything like that, but I try to stay within the spirit of what we're trying to do here. It's just again, I have so much money invested in that motor. You know everything about that. It's tough to not want it, especially when everybody else is running it, to not have those protections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, funny story there. That motor last 7 or 8, 9 years, I had an MSD8, and I thought I had a 9200 chip in it. I was talking to MSD a couple of years ago and found out that chip, I didn't have the right wire hooked up to it. It wasn't even working.
Okay.
So I never even fixed it. I said, well, I've got along this far with it. I ain't going to look it up.
Man, why don't you just go ahead and go back to points?
But there's times that car broke, like a transmission gear and something. That motor screamed. No telling what it hit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it not only does the overboost and it does over rev, it does all that stuff, but it also has a G meter in it. At least my race pack does. That it shut everything off if you hit the wall and have like a 3G force or something, everything gets shut off. To me, I understand the animosity against it. I as long as we can all agree that if you live within the spirit of what we're trying to do and not using downtrack timing stuff and all that type of thing, then I think it can be used appropriately. And if you ever decide to get off your high horse and you want a little help with it, I'll help you as much as I can help you to get one set up. So.
Well, yeah.
All right.
Have to help me do this, so that's how far I'm out.
All right, man. Well, we really appreciate you coming on, and we won't take any much more of your time. But maybe we'll see you. Maybe we'll have you on over at the track. We're going to try to do some of these kind of live at the track, and just have a couple of people come in and just talk about how their qualifying is going or whatever. But we'll definitely see you and try to talk to you there as well.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
See you, Larry.
See you, buddy.
See you. See you, Chris. See you, Corey.
All right, man. That was a great interview, Larry. Thank you so much for coming on. It was really cool to talk with you. I'd only met him maybe once or twice before. The reason I know him, other than the Anglia, is he has a toter home that has the same front end as my toter home.
Oh, really?
So I went over and talked to him about his headlight situation because you know how our headlights suck.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what he did to make it better.
Yeah.
I think he added some lights or something. I don't know.
One thing I was thinking about when he was talking about his magnet on his clutch pedal? Why can't you just rig something up for the toter home like that? When you're in traffic, just push it down, hold the button down, so you're holding the button instead of holding and let go.
Yeah, so we have been messing things up. We should do that.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I don't know. Yeah, the clutch on the toter home is pretty difficult to push down. So my left leg, when we're backing it up, it's shaky and stuff because I have to go in and out of the clutch so much. But it was really cool for Larry to come on. We can't thank him enough. And if you got a somebody that you would like to see come on the podcast, or wants to come on the podcast, email us right above, linelockedpodcast@gmail.com, and let us know. Get us, we'll get something scheduled. So make sure that reach out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Cool. So we got viewer mail, right?
Yeah, we got a couple. Last episode, we talked about our TikTok tragedy. We had the guy in that 55 that went down that, it looks like the pit lane.
Yeah.
He was racing a Camaro, and he wrecked it, and he flew out the windshield. 1320 Quick wrote us about that, and he said that wreck actually happened at Pikes Peak International Raceway just outside of Colorado Springs, and that was when the Colorado Street Outlaws event was all the rage. He says, I'm friends with that Camaro driver. The driver of the 55 is a very experienced Outlaw 10.5 driver.
Wow.
He's been in the low sixes in his blown Hemi.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
That's fast.
And he also raced this year or last Sick Week. I'm assuming he means last year's Sick Week with a gold 65. But anyways, going back to what it was, he said that 55 in the wreck was his street car, which is what we kind of thought maybe it was a street car. He said those cars didn't come with seat belts, but I'm told that the belts were added after the fact, and they pulled out of the floor during that wreck, and that's how he ended up outside the windshield.
Yeah, that was a scary one. If you haven't seen that, go back to our previous episode, episode 19, I think is the one we talked about it, and it's in the very front half of the video. It was a scary little accident. I'm glad he's all right. But yeah, I mean, you got to make sure those belts can't pull through the sheet metal.
Yeah, and that's a scary thing because you put a bolt through the floorboard and you think, hey, this will hold, but if it's not attached to the frame somehow, that's exactly what could happen.
And going back to that episode, Kevin made the remark that he just ran out of talent. It sounds like he has a lot of talent.
Yeah, it does sound like he's got a lot of talent.
I don't know that that's true. I think things just happen fast sometimes. And maybe what he was feeling wasn't what he didn't feel was too far, I guess.
Yeah.
Until it was.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
it happens, man. It just happens.
we always look at things from the outside looking in and saying, well, why didn't you just let out, or why didn't you just hit the brakes? And in that moment, you're in a different mindset.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Also, going back a couple episodes with Brock Porter from Beach Bend Raceway, the Rocket Man came back and responded. He said the NDRL ran 2 to 3 races with the AMRA. It was wild for sure. It was good adult fun. And we were talking about the motorcycle that went blaring down. I guess it was in the campground.
I think that's what he meant. Yeah. Went down the riverbank.
He said, yes, and I swear there's a bike down in the Wood River area. He went by my trailer and rocked all 50 foot of trailer. Never heard the dude even lift. I know he's down there grinning and whiskey throttled.
Yeah, I want to hear more details about that story, Robbie. So next time we get together, you got to tell us. But that's crazy. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that's our viewer mail, and we are going to see you later. But first, if you like this episode and you liked Larry, make sure you comment down below. Tell us what you liked about it, any questions you have for Larry or for us. And you can, again, email us at linelockpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you're a subscriber. And if you really like us, please share our content. It's the only way we're going to grow.
Yep, absolutely.
So, all right, for that, we are going to be out of here.
Did you hit the right button?
I did.
You did hit the right button that time.
I know. Hey, I can read.
Can you? Oh, you couldn't read like 10 minutes ago?
I know. I was corrupted then. I'm uncorrupted now.
Anyways, we are line locked. And, okay, man. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I'm Chris. Yeah.
We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya. Boom.